So on the international front, I do want to speak a little bit about the battle for Aleppo that appears to be winding down, um, possibly and potentially. So the Syrian rebels in the surrounding area of eastern Aleppo, um, they were entrenched. They have called for a ceasefire and in order to evacuate civilians from the areas that they currently control. So the siege has already, the siege has lasted for months, but it doesn't look as though it's going to last a lot longer. Government forces, the Assad regime, they control about 75% of eastern Aleppo. That area was held by rebels for about 4 years. The rebels who have been left with just a spit of land northeast of the citadel after recent government advances, but they abandoned it on Wednesday morning, retreating further south. At least 15 people were killed overnight as heavy artillery fire battered the remaining rebel-held areas. But there's a quote from Aleppo Leadership Council that I want to read for you. It says, quote, "Civilians should be either protected or evacuated to a safe area where they will not be under the mercy of Assad and his henchmen." So what they're requesting in the ceasefire is an immediate 5-day humanitarian ceasefire, an evacuation of 500 cases requiring emergency treatment underneath UN supervision. They're asking for an evacuation of civilians to the northern Aleppo countryside, and they are asking for negotiations for the future of the city. The truth of the matter is that the rebels are not really in a strong position to actually make demands. The U.S., Britain, Germany, Italy, France, and Canada jointly call for an immediate ceasefire. So while the rebels are not in a position to make demands, this coalition of louder and bigger voices, they're asking for this ceasefire as of today to quote unquote allow the United Nations to get humanitarian assistance to people in the eastern Aleppo. On a conference call today, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov described all the remaining rebels in eastern Aleppo as terrorists, saying that they had united around the jihadist group formerly known as the Al Nusra Front. So it's coming to an end. It looks as though the Assad regime is going to take Aleppo, and it looks as though the rebels, without the requests and the cries from these major powers and the U.S. a superpower, they're not in a position to make any requests. They're not in a position to extract any concessions from the Assad regime. And so we'll see how much longer this lasts. We'll know how, if this ceasefire actually takes hold, if people are actually evacuated. But the sum total of the story is at least the Battle of Aleppo that has been raging on for 4 years. Some of the most graphic images that we've seen have come from Aleppo. Everyone remembers the picture of the boy who was shocked and stunned, covered with dirt and blood because of the bombing. We know about the civilian hospitals that are being bombed. At the end of the day, it looks like it is almost over, and the city is going to be recaptured completely by put back underneath the control of the Assad regime.